Everybody's Gone to the Rapture is the Chinese Room's next effort, following in the same vein as their 2012 hit Dear Esther, a small but special title that was released to much acclaim at the nascent stages of gaming's most recent foray into exploring the breadth of its own medium. Similar to Dear Esther, Everybody's Gone to the Rapture presents the same basic formula, a compelling and eerie world in which the player attempts to weave sense into a mysterious tale by exploring the environment and piecing together the clues within towards greater revelation. Continuing with the Chinese Room's penchant for unique ambience and environments not traditionally seen in video games, Everybody's Gone to the Rapture drops you in the heart of picturesque 1980s rural Britain, the isolated rustic setting, the canvas for your curiosity. Between the exquisite detail and unearthly soundtrack, the surprisingly large and varied atmosphere never dulls as you wind its lonely paths and unwind its mysteries, witnessing brief echoes of the lives of the departed townsfolk, or catching glimpses of insight by engaging with a ringing telephone or tuning in the occasional radio. The scope of the game is not without its drawbacks. At the outset, the sheer length of the game and the potential pacing issues that this could entail was an immediate concern. Nevertheless, at no point in the game did my interest even begin to wane. With your spectral guide at hand to usher you towards the next key scene, you never feel lost or frustrated in your quest. The steady pace of the game creates a contemplative tone, giving the player the opportunity to fit the most recent clue into the overall picture of the narrative. However, the price of controlling the tone of the game manifests itself most frustratingly as having the speed of character navigation often vacillate, slowing you down cinematically as you approach or depart an important scene, or as you move about inside a house. With the inclusion of a pseudo-sprint option, navigating the environment in the main was enjoyable, and moments where you slowed down to a crawl are few and far between. Where Everybody's Gone to the Rapture truly excels, however, is in the main means of interaction with the game beyond traversal. Using the 6-axis controller, when the player reaches a recognised point of interaction, an act cleverly reminiscent of the time in which the game is set, the player must tune in by moving the controller to trigger the particular memory of a conversation or altercation. Between these tilt scenes and other scenes which occur more organically during the course of play, the game delivers an unexpectedly character-driven experience. In similar titles, the narrative is extrapolated by exploration, much the same but by different means, as Dear Esther presented depth to its mystery through the subtle presentation of its prose and the interpretation thereof. Everybody's Gone to the Rapture, on the other hand, contains a far more dynamic system of doing so. Now the player's perspective is influenced not only by what they find from an inherently trustworthy source, the player is given a degree of agency beyond simply what they find, but from whom they find it. This adds a perplexity of deciphering the nature of the game's events, especially in the game's early stages. The game develops a cast of characters supported by strong voice acting, whose relationships are slowly elucidated. Rather than be fed by a single stream of spoken or written word, the player is forced to actively piece together rumour and speculation, and to attribute weight to it depending on its source, all the while keeping track of the various underlying narrative threads. This combination is something which is incredibly successful in commanding the player's attention over the course of the game. In creating the more character-driven narrative, the game forms a surprisingly deep and detailed depiction of rural life, presenting the aspects of hospitality and generosity, and on the other extreme, not shying from the inherent parochialism and conflict therein. Themes which all fit beautifully into the game's final, liberating message. One of the deepest and most beautifully realised games of its genre, though not without a few minor flaws, Everybody's Gone to the Rapture creates a unique atmospheric world and an organic and refreshing means of engaging in its mystery, something which is trammelled only slightly by its somewhat plodding pace.